Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a Silverline Show on Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim TK, joined as always by Mr. Quentin Bedwell.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to this wonderful, wonderful time that we have together. We're so glad you could make it.
And Jose Fuentes.
I can't even say something as great as that. Well done, Quentin.
And you're
Hi,
not
everybody.
and you're not going to believe what happens next. And that's exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
We're going to be talking about cliffhangers, how they get written into comics, how they're used in marketing, and you've run into several throughout your day and not even realized it. But before we get into all that, we're going to talk about what we did with our week. So start on the other end of my screen here. Jose, what have you been reading, watching, playing, listening to?
I think I read the newest issue. Was it King of Spies?
Okay.
The artwork is Matias Calera, which is awesome. I've never seen a guy use ink wash as much as that guy does. It's great. And then in my family, like us in particular, for Christmas we celebrate Christmas for the kids, right? So we might get each other, me and my wife, a couple things here and there, but most of our Christmas is spent the money we would have spent on presents for ourselves, we just throw into the pool to buy stuff for the kids, right?
Sure.
So Christmas is about the kids. Well, Valentine's is us. So we dropped the kids off at my mother-in-law's, and my wife and I went out to a Korean steakhouse to go eat dinner, and we watched Murder on the Nile.
Nice.
A movie based off the Agatha Christie book.
Yes.
And yeah, it was awesome. Just a great weekend.
Very cool.
That's pretty much my whole time.
I am rewatching Star Trek Next Generation.
Nice.
I'm on the third season, almost to the fourth. Tried to watch a little bit of Discovery. I watched like the first 8 episodes when it first came out, and I couldn't stick with it. And now I've watched like 3 more, and I started watching TNG.
Nice.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll try it again and again.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get context to what's coming next,
Yeah.
So I'm kind of trying to suffer through it. I've heard people say it gets better.
Yeah, no, Scott Wakefield, our resident Star Trek encyclopedia, loves. I forgot the name of it, but he loves the series where it is now.
I love the new effects.
Yeah,
love them. I love the new way they shoot it. Of course, you go back and watch TNG, you can see that it's aged.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that, but I mean, still just solid, just like I remember it. But anyway, other than that, trying to think. Other than that, I've been doing a lot of drawing, a lot of work. So yeah, getting geared up for Night Rise.
Nice.
Yeah, just kind of been lurking in the chat, listening to everybody and looking at all their amazing artwork. So yeah. If you become a member of the Patreon, you too will be able to see the amazing artwork.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes.
We do have a Silverline Discord, and on occasion we do post stuff in there that does not normally make it outside of our circles.
Yep.
I'm posting a gent joke here. For anyone who doesn't know what gent is, it's extreme metal, but using palm muting and lots of zeros. Anyway, I'm in a meme group.
Yeah. You just opened with that.
Yeah. I've been working a bit on a new Kickstarter that we have announced in next month, which is Wolf Hunter issue 1. It's official.
Woo!
It's happening next month.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been working on some marketing copy, some cliffhangers as you will to send around to some publications. Using your Ichthus paragraphs and your calls to actions and all that.
You excited, Tim?
I'm so excited.
Woo, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Besides that, I've been playing a lot of Lost Ark since that just came out. And it is, if you ever played Diablo, like Diablo 2, Diablo 3, it is that, but very Korean. Burning a lot of hours on that. But tonight, the new Destiny the new Star Wars expansion came out, so I'll be playing that tonight. And then next week is the new Destiny expansion.
What do you mean Star Wars expansion?
Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO. So there's been an MMO out by BioWare, the guys who made Dragon Age and Mass Effect, out for a while.
Oh, and I never got any more artwork done.
Yep. It is free to play the base game, and then after that, it's just pay for expansion. Or you can subscribe and get all the expansions at once, which is what I do. And the new expansion just came out, so I'll be playing that tonight. Next week is the new Destiny expansion, so I'll be doing the Destiny cooking stream on my personal Twitch, twitch.tv/BakerBacon on Sunday. Sunday, Monday, because it is a federal holiday, so I'll have that day off. Reading comic-wise, I've gone back and I've been rereading X-Force Apocalypse Solution, which is
nice.
Yeah, it's a Remender arc. It's super fun. Introduces Genesis, the son of Apocalypse.
Yep.
So you get some really fun dynamics with Deadpool and Fantomics, as well as I think one of the most underutilized relationships in X-Men, which is Psylocke and Archangel. I thought they had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Go ahead. I personally like both characters.
Yeah, I like them both characters. I thought seeing them in a relationship, especially Angel after being Archangel and being the slave to Apocalypse, I thought that was a really interesting dynamic, seeing how they worked in a relationship dealing with some like legitimate trauma. I thought that was very interesting.
Right, they're both basically scarred.
Yeah. So I thought that was a lot of I love that book, and getting back to it is always a lot of fun. Also, the artwork in that is fantastic. I've just started watching Jujutsu Kaisen, which is an anime about essentially a school for sorcerers that go around excising curses. And some fun Japanese demon mythology and lots of classic anime fights. So lots of fun there. And a lot of Mythical Kitchen, which is a internet cooking show where the tagline is "Where dreams become food," or food becomes nightmares. So they do a lot of getting celebrities to eat foods they're afraid of. They got Terry Crews to eat mac and cheese made with bull testicles.
Tasty.
Yeah. They also do what they call fancy fast food, where they take a fast food item and up budget it to an extreme. So you end up getting like a $400 Jersey Mike's sub. And just some random test kitchen items as well. Right now they're doing like a food myths thing where everything that like someone on the internet told you tastes better with mayo, they're going through that series and just replacing everything with mayo.
That's so wrong.
It's fun though. The host is fantastic. It's a funny show. I love it. Yeah, that's what I've been up to this week.
Cool.
That is a bigger list than mine.
I try to stay busy.
It's good to keep your mind going.
Yeah,
I don't know about with watching somebody eat bull testicles, but
Well,
whatever.
I don't know. Well, I haven't had the opportunity to eat Rocky Mountain oysters, but I think I might next time I'm at Alice Cooper's restaurant next time through Arizona.
I mean, I say you're like right there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Rocky Mountains are basically your backyard.
Yep. What was I gonna say? I think like as a writer, staying active also because a lot of writing is just regurgitating any words or any concepts you have come across at any point. I feel like writers always sound like they're taking in or doing like 50,000 things just because, well, some of us have ADHD, so we need the constant interaction, but another is just getting the constant stream in so you can just vomit words out.
Yep. It helps.
Yeah.
It's therapy.
Exactly. And if you want to see my word vomit, make sure to check out the Silverline Kickstarter next month for Wolf Hunter issue number 1. It is a spy story, which I've described as I described it as Murder on the Orient meets Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy or Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yes. Yeah. As it literally features all 3 items. Yeah. But yeah, it's a fun time. It's a lot of slow boiled detective mixed with high paced escapade action type stuff. So it's a good time. I like it. I like what the art team has done with it. I like what my brain came up with. I hope people like it as well. So
I can't wait to see it.
yes, and that'll be super good. So we're going to get into tonight's subject, unless anybody else has been doing anything at all.
No, just I did some colors for Peter Clinton.
Sure.
And
was that your colors? That I saw this just a few days ago or yesterday, maybe.
The page he posted up.
There was like 3 pages posted, or.
Oh no, I only sent him 1 page that he posted up.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna wait and send him the rest of the pages together.
Nice. Okay. So we'll get into tonight's subject. The art of the cliffhanger. So everyone has probably at some point come across Clickbait, which is
yes.
Which is very much titled as in the fashion that we are here, uses the same type of thumbnail, the shocked face, or the
or the
big,
little arrow with the circle.
Yeah, the big eye-grabbing pictures. Yeah. And while it is looked down upon by some, it's called clickbait for a reason. It generates clicks. Yep. So this is probably one of the easiest but it's easiest to describe, but most apparent forms of a cliffhanger marketing. Just the either the a question or a outrageous statement or a appeal to interest in the title. Hitting one of those 3 big psychological factors. People being also using marketing terminology. I'm going to use a lot of broad sweeping statements, and the only sweeping statement you should use is don't make sweeping statements. But so it's going to be talking about like neurologically normative behavior. So there's some people that these neurological triggers do not affect and they don't work with, and that's fine. You're a perfectly functional person. This is just statistically what the broadest amount of marketing research has indicated. That appealing to someone's curiosity, someone's disbelief, because humans have been explorers for a very long time, always trying to figure out what's over the horizon, trying to learn like the meaning of stuff. That's the reason why we spend so much money trying to get to the bottom of the ocean or trying to go out to space. So appealing to something that people may not believe or may not be able to have perceived before is immediately going to trigger that response. Hitting a question on there or a call to action. People want to be doing stuff. They want to be engaged and feel like what they're interacting with is interacted back with them almost. So that's where a lot of questions come in, which also led to another recent psychological absurdism in parasocial relationships. People thinking they have relationships with people on the computer. But essentially appealing to these broader senses of things, you're going to get people feeling like they're engaged with the media from the onset rather than having to have them go through and wait to click on it and get to the next bit of it before they feel like they're engaged. So if I ever get too deep in the woods and you need me to peel back, I minored in marketing, so you've already had MFA brain, Tim. So if we get too deep into MBA brain, Tim, that's
I'll make sure to let you know. It's like I don't understand what you just spoke.
Perfect. So in essence, in breaking it down, if you get people to feel like they're going to be exploring something, seeing something that they haven't seen before within the first, 5-6 words of whatever you're doing, the title card, that's already a step towards the conversion and making them click on it.
Speaking of clickbait, some YouTube stuff, some popular YouTube antics.
Yes.
Such and such, or this just changed everything.
Oh yeah.
I keep seeing that one
Mm-hmm.
for clickbait. Here's another one. And you won't believe what happened next.
Yep.
See, and Facebook's getting really bad about this.
Oh,
I mean, you can't even go into the videos anymore without, seeing this stuff. I mean, there's people who just string people along for 2 hours doing nothing, like almost doing something, and then they stop and explain over and over just to try to get more people in.
That's not what we're doing right now.
Yeah. It's we keep all
or are we?
But and see, I feel when I see these, they get me every now and then. But once I see one and I see where this is going, then I don't click on it because it's I feel like I'm being had.
That's the thing is in order to back up the clickbait, there needs to be good content or support, like a thick content behind it, because I feel like a lot of people on the internet now are good marketers but not good content producers.
Exactly.
But if the clickbait's there and gets you engaged, and then the content is substantive, then I'm going to sit there for like 2 hours and watch whatever this podcast is on. Yeah, if it's something related to what I'm interested in, like if it's something talking about Destiny or whatever, or the X-Men or whatever, it says this new exotic just changed the game. And then the actual video breaks down into like what the actual ramifications are. I'm like, oh, this is actually this is good content. I enjoy this. But if it's just
first, they've got to tell you how it was so amazing that it changed the game. And this person over here, we're going to interview them and talk to them about how it changed their game. Like 13 hours of straight that for about 3 minutes of this is what you do.
Yes, yeah.
If you even get that. But I wanted to say that I didn't know what clickbait was until very recently. I didn't even know what it. I've seen it. I heard it. Like I heard people talk about it. I had no clue what it was. But I asked my kids. They know what clickbait is because evidently kids are in the know and I'm not. But it seems to me that that's not a new concept just because it's over the internet, just because it's something, they call it clickbait. You know what I mean? Because it's on the internet. So you're like, oh, I want to check that out. Click, right? But, I mean, when I was younger, we used to have to go to my aunt's house to play, because my mom would play cards and my stepdad would play cards and stuff like that. As a family. And my aunt did not have boy-appropriate toys. There was nothing there for me. But she had a whole heap of Reader's Digest. I did a lot of reading.
Yep.
Yeah. And it seems to me like the covers and like the intros to those stories, on the cover of the first, the few cover pages before it starts the stories, were the exact same thing. The only difference is like it's over the interweb.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Clickbait is just the newest form of an age-old tradition of what is referred to as cliffhanger marketing, which has been around since snake oil and golden rings.
Wow.
But it's literally just you're just trying to pique interest without getting too deep into something at the onset, because I mean, the law of averages, right? For
Right.
every 10 people looking at you, 7 are going to ask a question. For every 7 people that do that, 3 are going to actually handle your product. For every 3 that do that, 1 person's going to buy it. So the idea of clickbait marketing is just front loading more people into that first category to try and whittle it down more efficiently. So, if I know that by screaming out, this will change your life, I can turn that initial 10 people into maybe like 50 people or 100 people, and then whittle it down from there and get a higher average in the end. And, to some extent, if you do have substantive content, it's a good tool to use with, but it can be abused and just lead to 3 hours of absolute drivel.
Right.
But if you throw that
Or
with,
even 15 minutes. I watch this guy every now and then just when I'm curious what's going on with Disney and Star Wars. There's a few guys that I watch, but this one, and I don't mean to dump on any YouTubers or anything, but his name is Mike Zero. I don't know if y'all have ever watched him, but he always has like behind the scenes news, and sometimes, Gina Carano just changed everything. And then, the next video, Dave Filoni just did this, and it's like and you watch it and there's nothing. He's not telling you anything,
no.
at all, except for stuff that he doesn't know, that, you know what I'm saying? It's all speculation.
Yeah.
So it's not really,
Yeah.
life changing. In other words, it's not substantial.
Yeah.
So I was looking in on him every now and then, but now I've just kind of stopped because his taglines have been very interesting. But then I watch it and it's like, well, that's the same thing I just saw last time. So it's kind of getting samey. And
that's other than that, person in the same space that I like that does stuff like that is new rock stars, where they'll do something like the new Doctor Strange trailer just cut deep, and then they do they do their mandatory ad read at the front, but then he immediately goes into it's like in 15 seconds in, we get a reference here on this page, it references this thing here, and immediately starts citing sources and going into like what exactly each frame breaks down into. And I feel if you're looking at like the two spectrums of that, it's, do you immediately jump into thick content and citing sources and like this is the content, or do you just ramble on about speculation?
It's a hard choice because there's the thing of the long intro. Sometimes they have these and it seems like intros are getting longer. But you get through the intro, and then after you make it through the intro, then you've got to go through the YouTuber's information, like and subscribe, and you can find me here and here and here and here and here and here, and it's like, I'm sorry I haven't been making as many videos lately. I've been busy. I hear that all the time, and it's like, come on, get to it. I mean, come on. Anyway, it's and then it's like 3 minutes of something that's just not even, not nearly as life changing as, what it proposes when you first click on it. But anyway,
I could have went to the restroom while I was waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But now that we have spent 30 minutes on our lawn intro, but no,
yes, but we're irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you. Yeah, and it also there's differences when thinking about this. Where like for us doing a 2-hour podcast, we need to fill time.
Yep.
But also, when you're talking about subjects like this, where we could go into like the origins of cliffhanger marketing, and I could talk about the traveling salesman and the Roma culture that arose in Austria and Germany that traveled to England. And it's establishing context for the conversation. Or we could just say, like, this is a thing that's been happening for a while. Here are some references that you might see today. Context.
Yep.
Yeah. So just fun things to think about in marketing, which dear viewer, if you ever just like I feel like it's really important when you're also like watching the news, but when you're ingesting stuff, think about the marketing implications of whatever you're doing. We live in a society about sales. Everything is marketing. It's always fun to think about, like, oh, what
everything is about getting what you have, what your hard your hard work produces money, and people, we all have to eat, and we all have to gain money and monetary, and so everything is about a sale.
Yeah.
Even that word sale is like hey, you got to come look at this.
Yep.
It's all about taking what you got. That's the bad way of looking at it. But everybody's got something for sale because we're all trying to work and live and do. I mean, everybody. But yeah.
Then some of us, want to, usher out our art into the world, but
some of us want to be heard. We want to be seen.
Exactly.
I'd like to share my work with people. So that's where it comes from. I think this is cool.
Exactly.
I think you'd think this is cool. Hey, but you can't really say that every time, so.
Yeah, you need to come up with a fun catchy phrase or something to grab people's attention.
Got to have an angle, see?
Yeah. Because if you just say, hey, this is cool, people are like, well, I think my thing is cool. And I'm like, well, cool.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of cool stuff.
There's a lot of cool
What's
stuff.
cooler about yours? What sets yours aside from everybody else's?
Which brings us to the form of cliffhanger marketing, which all of us see every Wednesday in the shops. The cover.
Yep.
And the title card.
Indeed.
Yeah. So if you can get away, that doesn't have glare on here. It's still wrapped. But
what's that?
This is
Guardians
number 22 featuring Agent Venom. There's some cash around my thing.
Agent Venom. I was just at a comic book store the other day, and they were talking about them bringing him back.
I'd be down.
Bringing back the Flash.
Agent Venom. Was it Flash Thompson?
Yeah,
Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
I rather liked him. I thought the idea.
A lot of people really liked him, and a lot of people were upset they got rid of him.
Yeah, I definitely like where Eddie Brock's Venom is now, and I think the Keenan Black arc was chef's kiss, just so good. But Eddie Brock's Agent Venom was just cool, man. Or Flash Thompson's Agent Venom was just so cool.
Yeah.
But the comic cover in itself, you're trying to establish that cliffhanger. Same with and your title card and your issue title are trying to create that 6-word whatever buy-in, they create and we'll get into what's inside the interiors and the fact that something you may not think about, but just about every page is written to a cliffhanger inside of a comic book. But something that artists work really hard on, and marketers just claw their eyes out over, is getting the cover just right, getting the right series title, the right issue title. Is the title card centered right? Do we need to adjust the lettering? If we make this one font, will this make it look any cooler? And so you end up getting titles
yeah, you definitely want to throw your you put your best foot forward with that cover. And it's so funny that we're even talking about this tonight, because I haven't received everything yet to start on the first page of this. So I decided what I was going to do is get the book logo for the cover ready. And I did that. So now I'm moving into, well, why don't I go ahead and do some mock-up covers, and I'm just having this huge, brain freeze, because I'm really split. It's such a big conundrum. I want to put all this cool stuff on the cover that's gonna make it sell, or what I would think would make it sell, because people would look at it and they would see, wow, these things look really cool. But at the same time, I don't want to give too much away before they see stuff. So some of the best things you can do sometimes is not show things, but at the same time, you have to make if it's a movie, you have to have a trailer.
Yeah.
But you don't want to reveal. You don't want to over reveal stuff. And I'm afraid And that's what I'm trying to decide on this cover right now is the mock-ups that I'm going to do. I'm trying to decide how much do I want to show versus how much cool factor do I want to put into it. So I'm really at an impasse right now, and we're talking about this. It's really funny.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there's lots of different ways you can go about approaching the cover design itself. That I had mentioned earlier is a lot of Cliffhanger marketing relies on appeals to certain psychological triggers, much the same way that horror does. Where horror is always about finding ways to invade on what that psychological trigger is. Whereas if you want to make it and for a certain type of audience, that is how you get the conversion. That is like, I'm going to break your sense of privacy. Like, perfect, I'm in. But
Right.
if you're doing a cover or something, you try to almost protect or build around that in some senses. So by throwing Agent Venom on there, Flash Thompson, you get appeal to the sense of familiarity. He's firing a gun and there's a big fight going on. You're appealing to a sense of spectacle. I'm talking into the comic. And you end up getting these weird monsters that you can't make out all the details of. And, that's a classic horror trope is don't show the whole monster. So you're appealing to...
exactly.
Yeah, you're appealing to the sense of wonder and maybe to the sense of horror. Like, what are these things they're fighting against? What is this conflict we're going to witness? And you can appeal to a lot of different things and build on these senses. And by just pounding those psychological triggers into the ground, when someone sees that, hopefully their brain takes over and says, any one of these questions are my sense of familiarity speaking, because I really like Agent Venom, so I'm going to pick, even though I don't read Guardians, I'm going to pick that one up.
But what do you do when you're on issue number 1?
Mm-hmm.
They haven't seen anything yet. But they when they open it up and they get about such and such a ways through the book, they'll actually see the critters or critter. What do you do about how much do you reveal on the front cover? That's what I'm having a problem with.
Well, an old Marvel technique was always for so many covers, like in the 90s and 80s, they did a whole, probably not in the 90s as much as the 80s, but they did a whole lot of silhouetted enemies. You know what I mean? You saw when they went through the whole Secret Wars and talking about the Beholder. You know what I mean? He was almost all the way up until they fully revealed that particular character. It was always a silhouetted design, a silhouetted image on the cover, and all the heroes oh my gosh, they're all shocked about what was going on, about what he was doing, even though he was just standing there. You know what I mean? And there were so many covers out for Secret Wars that did that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Where it was just a silhouetted figure for so long. I think I don't even remember how long Secret Wars lasted. To me, it lasted forever.
Yeah, it was a while.
And that was one of the big techniques they used. And then I think once you got into the 2000s, they started doing the same thing with Spider-Man. Once they started having John Romita Jr. come back to do, I think someone doing the Spider-Man stuff, they started doing more of the old style covers for that as well, which personally I thought were pretty cool. But I think that style of suspense is lost on people nowadays. Like more newer comic readers, they want the big pizzazz and the big flash. And I mean, I'm guilty of this as well, but I personally like sometimes I like some of the gimmick covers. Some of the ones that have the holographic stuff on it. I am a huge fan. If there's a variant blank cover, I will buy it. It's mine.
Yeah,
I like pencil covers. I like the ones where they just have the inks or they just have the pencils. Love those. Man.
I like the ones with just the pencils as well.
Yeah. I'm a fan of whenever they do something that's stained glass or watercolor. If they, but also something you see quite a bit for a lot of issue ones is they do mood setters. So even though these are people you recognize, you're grading a meat question of, okay, this team of heroes it's designed to get people who are not familiar with them into the comics, so that's why each hero was named. But you get the idea of, okay, they're all in a lineup. Why are they going to jail? What is
because everybody liked the movie Usual Suspects.
Yes. And you also get those motifs of, okay, we're going to pull from Unusual Suspects for this, or we're going to pull from whatever this. Stephen Butler, who's doing the Kickstarter cover for Wolf Hunter, pulled from was it this is like Soldiers and Heroes, something like that, or it's old-timey World War II stories, and we end up getting a motif cover of the Battle of Britain, which ties into the story, but it isn't the main arc of the story. So we end up getting this.
But like you said, it sets the mood.
It sets the mood, yeah. I'm going to actually pull from a novel for a reference here, but this is a blind, like, I had never seen from this. I had not heard of this writer. I saw the cover and had to pick it up, and that is the Six Gun Tarot. Which if anyone likes westerns and Clive Barker style, shooting up demons and whatever, recommend.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. It has you deal with like the occult and wizardry in 1869 Colorado or Nevada. But the font is unique. They have a weird umlaut there. What's that about? But then there's some there's some mystery going on with the character. There's we have to like answer the question of what's going on with that eye. They're breaking the sense of familiarity, because when you see a human face, you expect a human face. If something is completely offset, like an eye or whatever, you're going to break that. So that's something you see used in a lot of horror tropes. The kid looks beat up and is solemn, so we're kind of figuring out what, why is her face set up the way that it is. And you can't really see it, but there is in the background there's kanji and an Ouroboros. Kind of, maybe. There's a lot of light going on in my house.
Right.
But you end up creating a lot of conflicting elements, or a lot of these standout elements. Even though it's a simple cover, it's a kid in front of a background with a thing on his eye. But you create some conflicting elements to create a sense of discord, but without it being jarring. It's about these elements don't necessarily belong together, especially when we're talking about a Western. So what is the unifying factor? And well, that's in the meat of the book.
Right. I can see that. Was it Jeepers Creepers did that? The old Jeepers Creepers.
Oh yeah.
Under DVD sleeve. You know what I mean? It was a very up close and of the creature. You know what I mean? With the eyeball, I believe. The old classics. That was always good.
That was a classic. So I'll open up here before we get into writing the interiors. What are some of your guys's, when you're thinking about the creating the initial cliffhanger, or if you saw like a title that immediately like same thing of like, you won't believe what happens next. For me, that's, I would name like the Six Gun Tarot. Like, when you think of Six Gun and tarot cards, like there's immediate questions of like, okay, what magic Wild Wild West guns thing am I going to see here? But what are some of your thoughts or favorites or memories of covers or titles or things that have stuck with you?
I always go back to Secret War whenever I think it's issue number 12. It's kind of a pink cover, and it's got Dr. Doom without his mask on, and it's a downward angle shot, bird's eye view, and all the Avengers are in the background, all dead, laying there, knocked out or whatever, and he's just like, holding his hand up, and he's got like a crazy laugh look. And it's like, oh, well, did Dr. Doom kill everybody?
Right.
And of course he did.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I love Secret Wars. If you can't tell, I think I bring it up every time.
Oh, that's such a great storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Unbelievable, just the whole story around that too. How fast they had to get everything together, and yeah, but that's one of my favorite old time covers that you look at and you're like, wow, it's really, really cool. What about you, Jose?
They have
Which there's others.
I like,
maybe.
yeah, I like the old, like I said, the older, anything that shows the hero getting beat up. You know what I mean? That's always going to pull my interest. There was it Justice League International when Batman was beating the crap out of Guy Gardner, and then there's another one where they're holding Batman back from beating the crap out of some. Batman is a mean guy.
Yeah.
And then you know what I mean, or the classic Crisis on Infinite Earths where Superman's holding Supergirl. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. That particular layout with the in regards to that character has been used like multiple times, and I'm a sucker for it. I'll still pick up. Like it doesn't even matter what book it is. If someone's doing an homage to it, I'm gonna grab it. But stuff like that, stuff like there's a lot of them where like Wolverine got his butt kicked. He's like all bloody and everything.
Yeah,
just because it's Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
The famous classic Spider-Man cover where he's walking away down an alley and then he's got his suit in the trash can, and then that thing has been copied so many times it's ridiculous with different heroes. They even have one with Superman, kind of like that. It's funny.
Yeah. And kind of speaking about heroes getting crappy on them, because our expectation with these heroes is always being like, oh, they're going to they're going to go through hero struggle, but at the end they're going to triumph for whatever reason that they are fighting for, or just because they get the bad guy can't win in the end. But when you end up getting storylines that when they announce like issue 1, the death of Superman, or like the trade of the death of Wolverine, all they need to do is pick that title and they know they're sold.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's not much speculation
I haven't
there.
read it yet, but I haven't read it yet, but there is one. It's like the life and death of Wolverine, but the title flips. So it's like one way it's the death of Wolverine, and then if they flip it upside down for the next issue, it's the life of Wolverine.
Yes,
it's a little confusing for me personally, but like I get the gimmick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just
that's part of the ruse, Jose.
Yeah,
it's to confuse you.
Yes,
it confused me to buy it.
Yeah.
Let's see, was that Yeah, when they like in the interior of the House of X, Powers of X book, they have each thing that will there, but like they'll do inverted lettering. It's like Powers of X you can't really see, but when you actually get into like the interiors and like the actual title cards, it'll flip, like the circle will kind of rotate into like, is this a House of X? Is this a Powers of X? Which one are we in? But just the this was one that I actually ended up picking up and reading through after it had finished its run, because I wanted to get I knew they're going to do a hardback of it. But yeah, when they do, it's easier.
So much to it, it was easier.
Yeah, but also when they do stuff like this, you end up getting like these fun alternate covers and like alternate coloring styles. But they started doing the same where they put like a check mark next to which one it is, but you're still like, it's still the same storyline, but it's a different one. So like this weird little things you can do with titling, to create any sort of question or any sort of interest with it, it goes a long way.
Yeah, another Cliffhanger cover thing is always the villain holding on to Spider-Man as he's like laying limp in their hands.
Yeah,
like Spider-Man, how he keeps going is beyond me, because like, dude, I'm so tired of getting beat up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, you instantly want to get why did that happen? Or like I think there was one, the death of Spider-Man, and I think it was a Christmas issue where Thanos is standing there with his hand like this, and Spider-Man's like limp body with his arms falling between his fingers, on the cover, and it all had to deal with like Spider-Man like meeting death, and Thanos is there, and just basically fighting Thanos, even though he's like, listen, dude, you're not going to beat me here. And then Death ends up siding with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And kind of sending him back. But it was an interesting, like I definitely wasn't collecting Spider-Man at the time, but I definitely picked that up because, it's Thanos kicking the crap out of Spider-Man. What the heck?
Yeah.
Like, that definitely drew me in for that.
Well, that's the cliffhangers to pick up the book and want to see what's inside, so then there's the other cliffhangers of throughout the book.
Yes.
So in the middle of the book, or not even in the middle, but when you go from page to page,
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of writers like to have a tiny cliffhanger to get you to the next page, somehow or the other.
Yes, and depending on your publisher's format, that's going to change like your page numbering. But the way Silverline works is we have a singular interior cover, and then page one is there. So every odd numbered page, the last panel is going to be some sort of question or a shock or something. Like if you ever watched NCIS, like the end of like a segment before it cuts to commercial, the moment where it cuts in someone's face, fades to gray, and then cuts to commercial. That's the effect you're wanting to get in that panel of the what's going to happen next. Okay. And they don't need to be as dramatic as you might experience on daytime television because it's literally just a page flip away from someone in front of happening. So it can be just a small question of, well, have you considered this? And it has some significance to the hero, and so be like, oh, I need to figure out what's happening there. These are the one more page style cliffhangers where if you're reading your trade paperback or your collection and it's already like 12:30, 1 o'clock at night, and you hit one of those things like, well, okay, I got one more in. That's exactly what novels are built off of, just the ramping tension until you can find a natural way to release it. But you're always about again hitting those same like psychological triggers that are going to create a small amount of anxiety in your reader. Now that's using the same moments that you might find in horror, but want to keep them going forward until they find the end. So when you're in your last panel, the villain gets reduced. In your last panel, the hero has a moral quandary. In your last panel, the fight is about to start, or and then you can completely subvert it. Where in like the first panel, the next page, like, oh, actually, the fight's a misunderstanding, or they're actually friends or whatever. So there's a bunch.
Or somebody just does something completely outlandish, and then you have to know what, how, why, what, why, and then you go to the next part. I think I'm thinking of Dark Knight's Metal, where Bruce Wayne calls the whole Bat family together.
Yes,
he's infected with the Joker toxin, and
oh yeah.
It's so hilarious. And then, well, guys, we've been through a lot together. Boom, 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 boom. It just blows everybody away. It kills everybody. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's,
yeah, that was that whole, out of all the other heroes, I trained you. You guys were going to be the ones to figure me out first.
Yep.
My favorite one of those involving Batman is actually in the Tinian run Joker War, and it's at the end of the run. Essentially, he's given the Batman's given his predicament: either go save. I believe is it Catwoman or is it? I believe it's Catwoman. I believe it's Selina Kyle. Yeah, it's go save Selina Kyle and Harley, who are strapped to a bomb somewhere else, or save Joker, who's right in front of him and also strapped to a bomb that the Riddler put there. Because this is the moment where the Riddler gets his one-ups on the Joker. And the Joker, plays into what every Batman fan has expected at this point. Is like, well, you can't let me die. I'm the Joker. Like, it's the whole thing is that you don't kill people, you don't let people die. And that's the whole thing is builds us panel and the Joker says that. Flip the next page, and Batman just walks away. And you're like, oh, Batman has changed drastically at this moment, but it's a really effective page turn where you built to this the cliffhanger that Batman has been building to for 80 years.
Yeah.
And then you actually you get you get the moment where as the reader, you think you'd be able to breathe and like put the book down and go to bed, but you're like, it almost sucks the air out of you how drastic that answer actually is to the question.
Well, you expect to turn the page. Okay, Batman's going to figure out how to save everybody because he's Batman, right? He evidently has something in his utility belt that is literally going to save everybody. And then you flip the page, you're like, wait, But Batman, your utility bill should have that big. Go find it.
Yeah.
Shows do it
I know.
too. I think it's the same
Yeah.
principle. You know
Yeah.
how they go, but to a commercial. Before the commercial, they usually have some and the
Yeah.
music goes up before the commercial.
Yes. Yeah. The
Or
ramp.
something happens and the music goes up, dun, and then you have the
They do it
commercial roll.
for reality shows as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah. Or another thing the reality shows is they have kind of like a trailer for the next segment of what's about to
Yeah.
happen,
Yes. Yeah.
and but it's the same principle there. Every other page with us, you get the little cliffhanger, and it's kind of like to get you to the next segment, kind of like a commercial break.
Exactly. And to build a little bit of a cliffhanger here, if you're pre-ordering Wolf Hunter issue 1, due to some changes in page count, the cliffhangers may not be on every odd-numbered page. There may be something a little special going on there, but you have to find out when you're back. Wolf Hunter issue number 1.
That's a cliffhanger. You're drawing me in just for that. I want to know now.
Yeah.
It's a ploy, people. Don't listen to Tim. It's a ploy. It's a lie.
Right. The old EC comics are really, really good about that. Like when they were writing, was it not so much the Tales from the Crypt, but what's the other one? Tales of Horror or something like that. I think.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of different stories. It's almost like it was the book that would have like the story that Monkey Paw. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they were almost self-contained stories within like an issue or two. You know what I mean? But those, like, you would flip the page on those because you knew, like, oh man, because they were very like, I don't know. I know a lot of people say like some of this newer stuff they want it to be cerebral, but personally, those were kind of cerebral for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be able to like, oh man, like, is this person going to be able to get out of this? Is like, I got to know what's going on. What is the monster about to come through the door? Like, what the heck? Like those were like the page turners for me back in the day, and even those came out before. I don't want to say before I was born, but like they came out a long time ago. But I grew up, you know what I mean, like reading them or finding them somewhere and learning about them. Just great writing.
Oh yeah,
I guess is what I'm saying.
And that's definitely something as a writer trying to do is you're trying to create that tension and that for momentum of. I want my reader to be thinking what happens next every time they could put the book down or for anything like that. But as an artist, you're working with the panel flow on the page or the panel design. What might be some of the considerations you might have when you're approaching like the panel flow or like either the look of that last panel or how you're structuring that to flow into guiding the reader to pull page to page.
I know with me personally, I try to save my money shots for right around that cliffhanger and right on the cliffhanger if possible. And when I say money shots, I just mean, leaving the extra room to be able to get a good shot of them, good iconic shot or whatever. And I will try to condense stuff where I can to do that in the realm of, in keeping with the pacing and everything. So, that's what I try to do. And I try to begin with a pretty large panel, a segment, and I try to end with a large panel. I say a large panel, something just a significant something, something eye-catching, and then
to definitely catch the eye, right?
Exactly.
To draw the eye to that focus.
Something I might see here where the gun gets pulled and then knocking on a door of some truck that may have been significant a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Every time we see this makes me chuckle. But speaking of what's happening type reactions, we have one page of our Christmas special. It's Bear. It's Bear. Illustration of Bear. England,
I didn't
1940.
even notice that until just now.
Yeah.
This is Bear, and all of a sudden you see the bombing of London.
Yeah. Someone's kid is like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody is crying to their mom because they're
so
upset. because Bear just got blowed up.
Yep. Big ups to our editor rolling for that one.
Man, I didn't even notice that till you just showed it. That's funny.
That's a moment though where the dad is reading the comic to their kid, and like, okay, go to bed. This one's for me.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and the end.
Yep.
Yes.
That's how you tell the story to your kids.
Yeah. Jose, what about you? What are some of your thoughts regarding panel flow and panel structure?
So I don't really focus much on that in regards to, because I'm an inker, right?
Yeah.
Like I've done my own comic book, you know what I mean, my own superhero book. I've done my own, Western, and I break it up when I created like them. I broke them up into sections. Like I knew that this section was going to be a flashback. This section was going to be, and I would, or this section was going to be like the cause, what causes the main character, like for my superhero book, what caused him to go into counseling. You know what I mean? What caused him to go see doctors, to be locked up? What, you know what I mean? And what caused him to get away? You know what I mean? What that was for me. That's how I thought about it anyway when I wrote it out. But like in regards to like inking, I really do try to in the same principle of you want the story to flow a certain way. I personally think that the inks should do the same thing. And I know that some pencilers are pretty like stick was like, listen, this is the way I penciled it, this is the way I want it to be. And I can respect that. But sometimes, like, and like I said before, I'll ask, you know what I mean? Hey, what if I did this? Because I feel that if I do this with the inks, it's going to flow. It's going to help your pencils to flow, you know what I mean? To get to the end of the page, to go to the next side, you know what I mean? So like just like I said, different techniques, like different like zap lines and stuff like that, just to draw focus in a particular way. Like that's what I try to do. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to like reinvent how the writer has told the story, how the writer has floated, how the artist penciler has done it. I'm trying to emphasize what the penciler has done.
Definitely.
That's really how I look into it.
Yeah. And I don't think that's I definitely like having the insight from kind of all the different stages of creative process there. I'd be actually interested to if we had, you guys have also dabbled with coloring a little bit, but they have like a veteran color talk about coloring that last panel or the flow of colors throughout the page. Because I imagine it might be the same thing where if you're working with a gradient or something, you might do something to kind of do a slight break in the gradient or a slight accent on that end there to or along the line that you're trying to get the reader to read through.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's like different coloring techniques you can use too. Like I personally like kind of heavy renders in regards to colors for like what I'm doing. I can do the cell shading. I've done the cell shading. It's fairly easy, but I like the renders. I like, if I've got to take away color to add to make it more, like muted, you know what I mean? And to get to the big, the big explosion, the big eye-catching thing at the end, like I'll do that. Like I'll flow the colors that way. Start off with like some cool colors and work your way to like something hotter. If there's like an explosion or something like that, or something like just a pull, like where you're supposed to, oh man, and then flip the page. Like that's kind of how I look into it.
Definitely.
Like whether it's the right way or the wrong way, that's how my brain works.
For sure. And I do think that one of the things that really makes comics so interesting is the fact that whether or not we're all like educated and going through an art school or however we do it, like we're all unique or self-taught. We're all unique people with our different takes on what the type of story I like to tell, the type of art we like to do on it, all that types, and that also influences the type of things that draws our interest. And because very clearly there is a difference in taste between people. Some people like some movies, some people like the kind of movie that's fine, but you end up getting people who might have different tastes working on the same book. Ideally, there's some overlap there because that's why you signed on to the book in the first place. But there, what stands out in a cliffhanger or in a panel, end panel, might be different for each person along the line. For the writer, it may be, a sound effect or a bit of dialogue that's finally getting used. For the penciler, it might be, the expression or the introduction of a prop or whatever. For a colorist or something, it might be like a change in setting or change in dynamic that's going to influence the way that the colors play on the subject material. And I imagine also at some point in inking, there might become things where it may not necessarily, break the type of line work you've been doing the entire time. Because line work is a hard thing to break because it can really jar the eyes. But there might be something where lines take a different play, or there might be something where something might get overemphasized or over detailed. Especially like with some of those hard pushes we get on a character's faces at the last panels. They're doing the oh no face.
Like me personally, I say that a lot, me personally.
Yeah.
But I feel when you do something like that, and I mean, Quentin, you can chime in on that one, but I feel that if you're doing an up close face and stuff like that, I don't know, I like to add thinner lines to the face, in regards to shadowed areas and stuff like that, because it gives an almost the old school feel. Like you can do cross hatching and where if it's up close, it's almost like a forced lighting. You know what I mean? You get an up close lighting, that kind of draws people's attention to look at it. You can tell that person is shocked or whatever expression they're trying to do. You know what I mean? The lighting, you creating that lighting with the inks. I think that I don't know. I personally like it.
Yeah. Oh, I think Quentin's muted. Or
yeah, there we go. Anything to give it mood and give it oomph. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Any kind of lighting things, effects you could do, or of course you go crazy with the expressions and stuff. Yeah. What I was saying, or when you were talking just a second ago, was whenever talking about different people having different when we approach all this stuff, different artists or different writers or whatever might see things different. They might want to. Me personally, I don't like to watch more than one trailer of a movie. Just because I don't want to, and I don't like these trailers that don't get that get too in depth, where I pretty much see the whole movie before I see the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I try, because they just spoil me too much. I don't want to know too much, and so that's why I'm having this huge conundrum with this cover, is because like I am with the trailers, I don't really want to give away too much,
Yeah. It used to be that I think they did this with the first Deadpool, but it used to be that you might get trailers that would intentionally mislead you. Now, if you pass the initial teaser, it the new Doctor Strange trailer, they're there's gonna be 50,000 cameos in this movie, and that's all you're getting. Perfect. That's all I need to know.
Yeah. Right. And I've even heard of stuff that's going to be in that, and I still don't. When I watch the trailer, I'm like, I still don't know what's going on. That movie, I don't know.
But I feel
there are certain I don't like watching trailers. Like you said, I don't.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, back in the day, you get a trailer and it'd be a couple little snippets here and there,
right?
With some impending doom music, and you're oh, just when you thought it was safe to blah blah blah, right? But now it's like you said, you're basically getting the movie, and I hate that so much.
Well,
especially in Tom Cruise movies.
And I remember when you could watch a trailer and watch the movie and it be almost nothing like the trailer. Anything you thought was going to happen did not happen.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they were misleading you, but I'm saying, you just didn't get enough to be able to put it all together. Now they show the whole plot of the movie.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
hate.
like by the
Yep.
time I get there, I have no questions. I've already seen it. You know.
You get especially the Tom Cruise movies. These are like especially egregious. I don't know why in particular. Like if his contract is the trailer needs to be like a short film length. But they always get
Right.
like you always hit all the major plot beats in trailer shows. But also when they're showing an action set piece, they show the entire set piece.
Yeah.
Which, or oh god, this really annoyed me. I forgot what it was. It was something I watched where the trailer had delivered the entire joke setup and punchline for one of the funniest parts of the movie, and so
Yeah.
it immediately drained all the impact from that scene. Um,
Yeah.
And see, that's like having a comic book cover that's got the end of the book on it.
yeah,
You know, it's like, or and having everything listed
Yeah.
out, the whole plot of the story and
Yeah.
everything. Why would you want to do that? What's the point in picking it up if you know what's going to happen?
yeah.
Right.
I definitely think that there's like, if you're gonna show something, like either show us just the setup or just the resolution. Like, don't tell us how we got there, or don't tell us where we're going. Like one of those two things needs to be obscured. Like showing Doctor Doom standing over the dead Avengers is great because like everyone's expecting but that's something that can't happen because it's Marvel Comics. You can't just kill all the Avengers. But that's then the editor and the creative team coming in like, well, you won't believe how it happens.
Yeah, but you pretty much told it. How
Yeah.
it happens.
And so you have to find ways of obscuring things. Or one of my favorite things from noir stories, it's just talk about misleading someone. But if you do it well, you set up the initial premise, you show the reader who the villain is right away, and then you lie to them for every page of your story. You lie to them. Like, it's just straight up like, no, that guy goes under the carpet. This is who we're focusing on right now. This is the bad person you need to worry about. No, now it's this person. You need to worry about this person. And that can, if you do it well, you do actually end up creating this really weird effect where, as a reader, you start creating the sense of distrust in the narrator of the story.
Yeah.
Noir stories, your narrators and your settings are inherently untrustworthy. Either they have some sort of like vice that everyone has heard of, like the alcoholic detective or whatever, or they lost their memory or whatever. Memento is really good with this on the movie, if anyone's seen it.
Memento is a
Yes.
great movie.
Yes. But it's we set up this thing, and then we lie to you, and we don't tell you the truth until the very end, and it's exactly what you thought at the beginning.
Yeah, that's one there. You really, it'll make you sit through it. You can't even go to the bathroom, man.
Yeah. But
right. Like, thankfully, I watched it on DVD when I watched it. So like we get to like pause it. It's like, wait a minute, back it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did I just miss?
In high school, we had a film as literature class, and that was in the movies we had to break down and to report on.
Oh boy.
Yeah, doing that unit was Memento, The Matrix, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Inception. That if you ever want to break an art student's mind,
the Spotless Mind was actually pretty cool.
It's really good, yeah. But if you ever want to break like an art student's mind, just like, all right, now here's like all these stories that rely on you not knowing what's happening at any point, and just now tell me what's happening.
Right. I remember, like I said, a lot of the older movies did that. I mean, you mentioned about noir stories and whatnot. Those are my favorite. I've mentioned that before. Those are my favorite stories because, like, even the old trailers for the older black and white movies, they didn't give it away. Like, the closest thing you got to like the cliffhanger in the trailer was all of a sudden you saw a hand come out from the side, the gunfire, and then you have no clue. It's like I feel personally that's what I got when I watched the trailer for the newer movie, Murder on the Nile.
Yeah.
But again, it was set to Agatha Christie's story, so like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even thankfully they didn't just reveal everything in the trailer because that would have been
Yeah.
probably would have ticked me off. But
Definitely. I think also, well,
like that made me feel like I was like, okay, this going to watch this made me feel like I went to go watch movies when I was younger. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like where it didn't tell you everything that was going to happen.
yeah, and I liked the first one they did of this Poirot where they did Murder on the Orient with him. I've actually been
Yes.
I'm very happy that the Poirot movies are making a comeback.
Right?
Yeah, definitely one of the like. And for a lot of people, I think this, like, generationally, this might be a lot of people's first introduction to, you know, works of Agatha Christie or like the adventures of, you know, Dr. Poirot.
Poirot.
Yeah.
Which are great stories, and there's actually I think it's on one of the British channels, like BritBox or something like that.
Mhm.
They have like obviously in England, I guess they have like just a ton of
Yeah.
Poirot series. You know what I mean? Serials.
Yeah.
Just like in Asia, they have like so many stories about Wang Fei Hook. Was it Wang Fei Hook? Anyway, one of the people that's like super. I can't. Now I'm gonna say the name wrong. People are gonna correct me, but they have so many stories about that particular character,
Yeah.
and like so many people have played it. Jackie Chan's played it.
Yeah.
I think Jet Li has played it. I think even Donnie Yen might have played the guy. But
Yeah.
like they have a lot of about this particular guy. That's like how I feel serials in England are about Perot. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Which is interesting because he's a French guy.
Yeah. Actually, I think he's supposed to be. Isn't he Belgian?
Belgium, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Also, English serials are just fascinating as like a media structure because of like the way the business is handled and everything like that. Because they don't do syndicalization like we do here. Like if you sell a TV show in the United States, you're renewed for season after season, and you're just kind of like or told to create content. In England, it's like, all right, we're going to give you 3 seasons, tell the complete story in that time, and you might do a sequel.
Right.
Yeah.
Except for Doctor Who.
Doctor Who is a weird one. But I think that's because I was originally converted from a audio drama, and those were kind of done that way.
I was gonna say it was an audio thing, wasn't it? Like to begin with.
Yeah.
Peter would know.
Yeah. Same with comic book classic Green Hornet.
Yes.
Yes.
I actually liked the Dynamite run on Green Hornet. I thought it was kind of cool.
I as well, yeah. I didn't like the I couldn't get into the Seth Rogen movie, but
I never even watched
No,
it.
that one threw me off.
Yeah.
Because I liked the principle of it, but I don't remember Green Hornet being a bumbling moron.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I glamorized him in my mind, like from different readings and stuff like that. But I didn't remember him being a bumbling idiot. And that's kind of how Seth Rogen played him, which is, I mean, that's an angle, I guess.
Honestly, what it made me want is I wanted Seth Rogen to play Booster Gold. That's how I felt he was playing him. He felt he's playing Green Hornet like Booster Gold.
He's not a serious character to me. I mean, Michael Keaton really surprised me. And every now and then, when they cast somebody that I don't think is going to be good, they do surprise me. But the whole Seth Rogen thing with Green Hornet, I knew how that was going to turn out. I knew.
Right. I mean, there were aspects that were funny, like when was it Kano kept tranking them. You know what I mean? But like as a whole, I was like, come on, man. But that's just like they said, like people were like they cast Chris Pratt as like comedic roles and whatnot because that's what he was doing, and then I think it was his first role, like serious role was like Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they got him for other stuff.
Yes, and now he's voicing every character in existence.
Yeah, Mario and what's the other one? Mario and
I can't remember.
There's another big one though.
Yeah,
that he's doing.
honestly, like my speaking of clickbait or cliffhanger marketing, when they announced Idris Elba was going to be voicing Knuckles in the new Sonic movie, I feel like that's all the marketing you need right there. It's like when,
right?
yeah.
Funny enough, I thought it was Antonio Banderas at first because it sounded like it had like a Spanish accent.
Kind of, yeah.
And I was like, "Whoa, was that Antonio Banderas? That's dope." But no,
yeah,
Idris Elba's.
Yeah, but yeah, it's one of those things where
all you have to do is say that dude's name, and he's gold.
Yeah. And yeah, that's definitely something like when you get to established titles of comic, you can definitely get away with is doing the thing where like, by the way, X is in this comic, or by the way, X wrote this comic.
Right.
But it's definitely
there's a Western on Netflix that he's in that I know it's just a camera play, but he plays the antagonist in the movie. I think it's something like The Harder They Fall. I think that's what it's called, something like that. It's a Western. And there's a scene where his crew come and get him off the train, like the train cart that has the jail cell in it, and he comes out of it, right, walks out of the darkness of the cell, and all he does is just kind of flex, and the camera bows everything around him, and like I look at that and I watched it, I was like, okay, I get the effect that they're trying to give, like he's just like that much, like he's just that much, right, like he's like like he flexes the world around him. But I was like, how much is that the camera and how much is that really just Idris Elba?
Right.
It's like that wasn't even camera work, that was him.
I was like, after seeing you kind of got a little bit of the trailer, but when you actually like watch the Suicide Squad and you see Idris Elba as Bloodsport and John Cena as Peacemaker, you're like, man, that is a lot of meat on screen.
Right. I saw an article. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, speaking of kind of, you won't believe what's going to happen marketing. When they, with how poorly Suicide Squad did when they decided to relaunch the Suicide Squad, and just the not really getting a whole lot of what's going on. Actually, this ties into a lot of things. Also the marketing through misguiding or kind of leading your audience to believe something and then subverting expectations. For a while there, they were marketing the first 10 minutes of the movie exclusively.
Yeah,
all those characters were not in the rest of the movie, but they're like, yeah, we got
that was I definitely went into that scene and be like, wait a minute, what just happened?
Yeah.
What the heck?
That was the amount of trailers they played toward, like, we knew we were going to get like King Shark and Polka Dot Man, which already is kind of like, why are these characters in a mainline movie?
Right.
So you're already creating some weird questions about like why this movie is, and then they start putting together trailers showing like Ricochet and Javelin and Detachable Arm Kit a little bit, and it's like, okay, that's still kind of weird, and Weasel. And they showed like the whole drop-in. They show the whole drop-in sequence, and and Ricochet being like impromptu team leader and all that, and then that's not the movie. But
that's not right.
Yeah, but the amount of but that's an example of using clickbait and then going straight into content, like, because the rest of that movie is very good. It is very substantive. So it makes sitting through that, like, having your expectations be completely totally worth it. But the amount,
I will say that just personal choices, I would have been okay if Harley wasn't in it. I know why she was, but I would have been okay if she wasn't in it.
Sure. I personally like Harley a lot, but for me, Polka Dot Man was definitely at the start of the show.
Right? I thought the same thing.
Yes. But the amount of just, all that marketing was just that, like, traditional cliffhanger marketing, and like setting up those like small little bits of clickbait where like this is a really weird thing that's happening. You should watch it because it's weird, or you should watch it because it's going to be something that like you have not seen anywhere else. The God, that movie. And then, just the introduction of Starro as the villain, and you're like, why is Starro in anything modern DC?
Yeah, no kidding.
I think I really wish that they had not shown Starro at all in any of the trailers. Like that was I don't know, I thought that was a bad move because it would have been gone over so much better.
Yes.
When the only enemy you thought was like the gangster or the only beast that you thought was King Shark. You know what I mean? Because then you're like, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden Starro appears, and you're like, holy monkeys! Like, that would have been, to me, that would have been perfect.
I had done the thing where like I'd only watched the teaser trailer for it. I'd only seen like the 30-second snippet in the briefing room where they show that and the initial marketing where they did like Flula and Adam Warch and all that. But this is the bit where that's just in the briefing room and John Cena's asking questions about Project Starfish, and so I kind of got some ideas from there. But when they. But I didn't actually see Starro on screen until I sat down and watched some movies. So for me, I just immediately died laughing.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely that entire movie and all the marketing is definitely a good example of even then, like going from scene to scene, they do a really good use of micro cliffhangers to keep you going into the next scene. But I mean, the first one, obviously, the beach assault going horribly and everyone dying, and you're left here wondering, like, what is the next hour and a half of this movie? But they do a lot of good stuff of transitioning on the small like macro cliffhangers where John Cena's character says something so outlandish you need to see what's going to happen next, or they cut to bad guys are doing stuff that is terrifying, or these real things. And I do like I thought some of the best use of Harley in that movie was with her in the interrogation scene, and they're cutting between the team on the island and Harley, then drawing the tension of, well, like, are they actually going to be able to rescue her in time? Is she going to blow stuff up before they can get to her? Like, what's going to happen there? So their entire use of the back and forth, creating these cliffhangers to draw the audience further along in the movie, I thought was really well done.
I didn't think that they were. I guess I didn't look at it in the aspect that the way they did that was using cliffhangers. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not wise in this thing. Like, it makes sense. Like after it's explained to me, I'm like, oh, yeah, I thought that too.
Yes. That's
I got sold in like everyone else.
Right. Well, it's kind of the our shows are kind of weird in that it's not really designed for like the casual. Well, it is fun for like the casual comic reader who just wants to learn about like why decisions are made there. But it definitely the way we try to structure some of the content is looking at things that you may not realize are happening, or things that like are just fun to think about in regards to that. As everyone, like your average media consumer, and you mentioned the cliffhanger, they might think about like the ending to a part 1 of 2 episode of a television show or something like that, or like direct ending. But a lot of storytelling is just breaking down big events into smaller microcosms, and so you can have these little micro cliffhangers along the way that all build up into that. And so as a comic creator, as the nerd that I am, it's just fun to think about.
So how much does that stay in the back of your mind as a writer when you know what I mean, when you create your story or write your, like, between issue to issue? Like, is that something that's always in the forefront when you go into your writing?
It's definitely something that becomes more apparent as I get into I mentioned my writing process before, but my third draft is when I actually go into the panel breakdown, and that's definitely when, like, I'm definitely thinking, all right, if this page is going to be 5 or 6 panels, and panel 6 needs to be this, and how do I build backwards from there to lead to that situation, knowing the change that it's occurring, because already established what the overall change that's going to be happening in the story on that page. Are going to be changing setting, they're going to be changing the character, are going to be changing context or a question or whatever, and I'll think like, oh, this is and I'll think when I'm creating those changes, fun little things I can do to build suspense going from page to page, or tearaways or cutaways or whatever. So when I actually get to putting it into a script format, that is when my brain is fully on cliffhanger mode, and then after that I'll tidy up dialogue and make it witty and all that. But when I'm first sitting down to do the panel by panel script is when I'm definitely thinking about creating those cliffhanger moments.
Okay. You always ask us as an artist. I thought I'd ask you as a writer.
Definitely. We're here to give all perspectives on comic creation.
That's right.
Yes. Well, when I'm actually sitting down to like watch media or like enjoy something, I might. It's usually on in most cases if like I know it's going to be like good material. But there's some movies where I know that it's not good because I'll or for like books that I know are not going to be good, because I'll usually, unless it's something that I'm a diehard fan of and I'm following because I'm following, I'll before I pick up anything, I'll read a review on it or go through the aggregates and see what the general consensus is, at which point I might just decide to turn my brain off. That's how I am with the current Godzilla movies. I was like, I'm just here to see big monsters fight.
That's right.
I'm not expecting it to be the old man in the sea. It's just big monsters fighting. But if I'm going to something like especially Marvel and DC movies, given how close they are to the type of stuff that I create, I'll definitely be thinking about what is the writer's intent, what is the director's intent, and what are decisions being made along the way, and like where do things get muddled or where do things get elevated and all that.
I think personally, I think because I go into the Marvel movies, I try my best to like just shut my brain off and just watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like otherwise, I'm gonna tear it apart and be like, okay, that's not how it went in the storyline.
Same.
That's not how it went in the storyline. But like, I try to go into it with the logic that like just shut your brain off, get entertained. But there are times where like I know what might be coming up, and like I guess I try to hyper focus to see if I can catch catch what they're throwing
Yeah.
to link, without being surprised. You get the moments like you get moments where like Spider-Man's flipping through the air, Tom Holland and whatnot, and in regards to like the newest Spider-Man, and without giving any spoilers away, because if you haven't seen it by now, you need to go see it.
Yes.
But like there's a scene, like the scene where they're all talking to each other in the apartment. You know what I mean? When they're with MJ and what's his name, and the grandma, and I think they were talking, and I knew, I was like, okay, they're gonna start talking about their webs, because like they have to explain how Tobey Maguire has like internal webbing and whatnot. Like that can't just be overlooked. They've got to discuss it at some point, right? So I'm sitting there like hyper focused on that particular scene where they're talking, like, oh, are they gonna bring it up? Are they gonna bring it up? And then they did. So like, oh, I knew that was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna come up right now. I just knew it. And but most of the time, like I try to shut my brain off. But like there are scenes like I'm definitely like I want to focus to try and catch what's gonna happen, to see, like, obviously that didn't happen in the comic book, but like that was definitely content that fans were waiting for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you just knew.
Definitely. Yeah. I try not to think too much about like, is this like what's happened in the comic story, because I tried to approach it with like the mind that like it's an alternate timeline. It's this is Earth. I think MCU is Earth 313 or something like that.
616.
616 is the main comic continuum, but the MCU is a different timeline altogether.
Gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah. So they have differences, and like now in the comics they'll do things where they'll pull characters from the movie universe and like, wait, this isn't how this happened. Like, well, this isn't how it happened for us. and I think it's happening. They're pulling back and forth now. But definitely like looking at that and saying like what's the timing like in the sequence? How much like chaff is being tossed back and forth before like a plot point happens, or the like what's the main intention with the dialogue and scenes? So like, the sequence where they're all on the statue and they're all just like being very Peter Parker-y with each other,
at each other's backs.
Yeah, that's like for me, it's like that was like I'm like this is writing gold. Like this, there's no writing the tops. This is like the writers knew exactly the emotional intent they wanted. They knew exactly like how they like what response I wanted to get from the audience, and they knew exactly how they wanted to like demonstrate the character's emotional state at that moment. And then they hit the nail on the head. Especially like the little nods to the audience where they mentioned like if you're a Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield fan, you might be a little older, so they start talking about like, oh, I got a back thing too. Yeah, you want me to pop that for you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was that was definitely a fun movie. Like I mean, there obviously it has some moments where like, they're like, oh, that could have been tightened up a little bit, or that was a interesting choice to focus there, but was just a lot of fun and critically a good movie too.
Yeah, it really gave me a little bit of hope back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. For me, like, Eternals was not a critically good movie, but for me, it is emotionally a fun movie because I like the Eternals comics. So I'm just like, oh, cool. I got to see Icarus shoot I-beams.
Eternals was a kind of a stretch though, because Eternals was great for comic book people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who love comics and already knew the characters. You know what I mean? But like, there was a lot of like character, like Eternals canon or Eternals history that needed to be
it was
explained that they just kind of like pressed together too quickly.
It was relying a lot on inside baseball.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, like, cool, I got to see. The thing that I will give Control credit though, and that it did subvert my expectations, and that it did not use the same traitor that they always go for in the comics.
Yeah.
Sprite. Sprite is was the one in the comics, right? That was the big
it's usually Sprite or who's the Scottish one? I forgot his name already. It's not there. Kingo. Not Kingo. Kingo. Well, Kingo sometimes does it, but usually he's too big of a goofball. Kingo, they got really, really tight. Druig is Druig. I didn't even look him up. I just had to work through my brain catalog there. Like, which one is the one who always does stuff? It's always Druig who ends up making a deal with a deviant or ends up.
I mean, they kind of like led in that direction a little bit and then flipped it.
Yeah, and I thought that was something that I do give them credit for on that little play around there, was not taking kind of the easy out, not going into like, oh, he's the mind controller who's not too into the mission. Of course, he's the traitor. I thought they did a really, really good job hiding that one, whereas some of the other things did rely too much on inside baseball or the scenes. Some scenes could have been condensed, some scenes could have been expanded in ways that they didn't opt for, but that was something I definitely give them credit for.
Right.
It
wasn't too far a stretch when Sprite did what Sprite did in the movie.
Yeah.
I was not super familiar with the Eternals. I never really kept up with them. They were kind of like tertiary. With my comic reading, it's just there's growing up so many characters.
Yeah.
To keep up with, and they were really fringe for me. Basically, because I didn't think they really. Which there were aspects of them that were throughout the different stories that I read and looked at, but I didn't really pay much attention to them. Guardians of the Galaxy was another one I never really.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of Nova, I wouldn't have even known who they were because I did pick up like a Nova Annihilation, I think was the storyline.
Oh yeah.
I didn't make it all the way through it. Wish I would have. But it's one of those things where I get to reading something, and if I missed that one part, I just I say I'm gonna go back to it, but I never do.
Yep.
And that's what that was. I really enjoyed it though. One day.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
like
just
the
I wasn't
older
real
Guardians of the
familiar with them.
Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
I actually like the older Guardians of the Galaxy where it had like what's his name, Vance or whatever, the dude with the big fin, and wow, Yondu.
Yondu.
Had Yondu, and Yondu's like an archer, not he didn't have that whistling thing, but like, he's an archer, and the big flat-headed dude. Like I don't remember the names on top of my head now, but like I actually like the stories that they had for them.
Yeah, but they did an interesting run not too long after the initial Guardians of the Galaxy movie called Guardians 3000, where they brought back the original Guardians team and had them run into the after effects of one of the other Guardians and one of Tony Stark's botched experiments, where he ended up getting like this really weird Stark bot that is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, but yeah, for me, I only got into Eternals because it reminded me of X-Men but Greek mythology, and so for me that was a selling point.
Right.
Yeah. So we got a little bit here left open, so I'll kind of pass it open. So when you guys are thinking about either movies that do a good job of building suspense or using these microcosm cliffhangers or comics or books or things that had those really stand out pieces of marketing that got you asking a lot of questions before you went in to see it, what are some things that come to mind?
In regards to movies in general?
Movies, media in general, if like some games also do very good jobs of building suspense, or books, comics, anything that when you think of like this kept me asking questions, or this kept me like on the edge of my seat through use of these small microcosms. What are some things that come to mind?
I know, right? I don't want to be on the spot. Let's see.
Well, give us an example, Tim, because I don't really.
Sure. It's kind of like going back and like for me, when I think about something like that, it's something. I'm going to be kind of a hipster here, but something like A Scanner Darkly, where which it's a book by Philip K. Dick, but also it's a movie with Robert Downey Jr., Keanu Reeves, and Woody Harrelson, where they do a lot of it is told through a lot of misdirection, but it's a lot of answering each question with another question, or each scene ends up resulting in a not good situation becoming even worse. Just kind of building these small little things of adding suspense, these small little cliffhangers, cutting at the end of each scene before they finally get to a resolution. You'll go from Keanu lying to get in with this drug enthusiast crowd, ends up developing these friendships with them, cutting to people start hallucinating, things get bad, and people start like distrusting each other, they become distrustful of Keanu, of Robert. His love interest ends up getting may end up stabbing them back. These small things that keep on building each other at the end of each scene, or these small little cliffhangers or small little elements of tension that keep on building, that really keep you wanting to know what happens next.
So there's a movie, I had to look up the name, right? That when you say that, it makes me think of this movie because to me there's a lot going on in it, but there's a lot of like parts where like I feel it cliffhangs into the next
Yeah.
section, right? Into the next thing. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, but it's called Southland Tales. It's got Justin Timberlake, The Rock, and like a bunch of other people in it, right? And it's a weird ride kind of movie.
Sure.
But like the story that the first part of the story like cliffhangs into a story with The Rock, into cliffhangs into another story with was it Sean William Scott, and you know what I mean? It's just it's hard to explain. Like even now, like I love the movie. Still don't understand what it's about.
Perfect.
But I love the movie.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to know what it's about because every time I watch it, it's like, oh, and now, oh, and now, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like to me, that's when you're talking about like the cliffhanger aspects to it, when that movie is what comes to mind. You know what I mean? Because to me, that is something that feeds itself to keep moving for me anyway.
Yeah. Exactly. That's perfect.
But if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's weird. It's old.
It's weird
Justin
and
Timberlake
old.
lip syncs a killer. Yeah, well, Justin Timberlake lip syncs a killer song in it.
Perfect. Yes.
Are you talking about Trolls?
No, is he in that one?
Yes,
I'm not gonna
I've
admit
got
if I
little
saw that one or
kids. Of
not. I
course,
think
I've
I've seen the
seen it.
first one.
Yeah, I'm made to watch every little kid show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my dad, and he was good on so many things, but when it came to watching cartoons, if it wasn't like Bugs Bunny and Tweety, he had no interest in cartoons, and I loved cartoons. Of course, during my day, G.I. Joe, He-Man, Transformers, which I never watched He-Man very much. Couldn't get it, but
He-Man was on the Chicago channels.
yeah, I always try to watch and try to find some way to enjoy whatever my kids are watching. Just because I remember, trying to get my dad to watch, movies with me, and it was tough. Sometimes he would, every now and then, it was the best, but he just didn't have, he was a more realist, kind of guy. Y'all know those kind of people.
Oh yeah.
And that was him,
My
But anyway, so I'm up with all the whatever they're watching. If it's
yep.
Octonauts, Dino Trucks, any of that stuff, I'm there. Yeah, Trolls.
First off, everyone should watch Dino Trucks.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, Dino Trucks
yeah.
are gold.
That's actually a really good story based show. That's a really good show. I mean, you wouldn't actually think, dinosaurs, being like tanks and trucks, but it really is good.
They're like
the stories
construction vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the Bronto guy was like the was it the hook thing that comes and grabs stuff? Like they're even the smaller dinos were like different vehicles as well. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. All right. Well, Quentin, anything up in mind?
Y'all are probably gonna think I'm nuts for saying this, but I started years ago watching Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
But I never finished it because I didn't understand this. That was the time when all these things first started happening with movies being shot out of order and stuff.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think Quentin Tarantino is the one who kind of popularized that whole thing with Pulp Fiction. But I've always wanted to go back and watch it, and it's one of those things I just haven't went back and watched.
And
but
that's
the parts that I saw being shot out of sequence, or I guess they were, has always intrigued me to go back, and I will watch that movie one day.
Yeah,
Um,
and that and Kill Bill were definitely some of Quentin Tarantino's like he definitely brought that style of storytelling over to the West. It was like originally used in French filmmaking, and Quentin Tarantino said he likes French filmmaking, and so he wanted to
Right.
make that but more action packed. And so that's what he did with Pulp Fiction, and it's very effective, and it is it is definitely one of those things where when you sit down to watch it, you immediately like after each like cut, you're like, okay, can we resolve what's happening here? I need to know what's going on.
mm.
Kind of like his historical revisions or
Yeah.
historical reimagines?
Mm-hmm.
Like was it Django
Django
Unchained
Unchained is
and
very good. Yeah.
Inglorious Bastards?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Those,
that one, like
yes.
obviously that's not how history went, but it's a reimagining of what if.
Exactly.
Which
Yeah.
incidentally were my favorite Marvel books for like the longest time.
Exactly. All right. Well, it is closing in on 10. We have an extended outro now, which I cut off too early last time, so I'm gonna give us some time to get through it. But I figured got some homework for you, dear listener. Next time you're watching something or reading something, just pay attention to the ends of each cut or the end of each panel, where it's look for the moments where it's very clearly trying to build suspense and get you to turn the page, and look for those little microcosm cliffhangers. Because you end up getting a lot of fun just trying to see how they're doing it each time.
Yeah, and just real quick, there's the end. We talked about the cover, the starting cliffhanger, then the interior cliffhangers.
Yeah.
And then you've got the end cliffhanger that's got to point you to, and it's got to be good enough
That's right.
to
To get your
get
next
you
issue.
to get the next issue, to get you to the next week's show, to get you to the next sequel. It's got to be good. You gotta be able to bookend your story, but at the same time, you have to throw something down to where somebody says, "I've got to get the next one."
Exactly.
And not make them mad by doing it too much of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, and when you get to the end of of like a volume or collection, it should be something where it's a resolution, but there needs to be that but there where it's like, okay, it's like
R.A. Salvatore did that a lot.
Yeah.
For a lot of his like Drizzt Do'Urden, like the Dark Elf books and stuff like that. He did a lot of those.
Yes. Leading it to where just as is back in Menzelbrandian, it may not be the worst, but Jarlaxle is there to make things worse.
That's right.
Yeah. In doing those little things, very classically look at your very long form comics that have been going on for forever. Superman defeats Lex Luthor, but Brainiac is back in town.
Again.
Yep. Small little things like that build tension, lean forward, but don't piss off your reader. Like, well, why is I reading the last 6 issues if it doesn't matter?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yeah. So we're going to
and don't make it too obvious.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't want your reader to say, "Oh, I called that from page 2."
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of show and tell. Just some stuff I've been working on for those who haven't seen. If you're a member of the Patreon, once again, you would have seen this on the Silverline channel. On the private chat message. We don't have a Patreon, by the way. This joke is kind of old, but
just join our Discord.
Yeah, join our Discord.
Slot games and stuff.
But this is a commission that I did, a D&D character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And this is that D&D character colored. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull this in.
Ooh, I love that palette.
Yep. And this is it colored. And you'll notice we've got the scars here and the scars here. So this particular character is a she has the ability to turn into a Yeti.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So if you were wondering
That's
about
rad.
that, let's see. I've got another one here too. This is for Shadow Ghost, and
Coast to
it
coast.
came up in the wrong window. Just a moment.
You just reminded me I have to do a Fire Genasi one. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I
Nice.
saw that. That was great.
Yeah, that's so good.
This one was a challenge because number one, he's Asian. I just haven't had a lot of experience drawing different nationalities, although I do from time to time, but it's just out of the norm. Also, the hands.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Curtis is a kung fu master, and this book that he is doing is a kung fu book by a kung fu master, and you have to get the stance correct. He
Yes.
gave me
Yeah,
all kinds
what's
of
a
stuff
Kung
to
Fu
go
Yi?
by. How he wanted the hands. He even sent me photos, I think, of his hands. So there was that. It was pretty challenging, but very rewarding piece. You know, I love to win. You know, after I try to figure something out, and then we
Well,
have one we did for another Silverline artist who is named Wubba. You may know him from Cat and Mouse. And again, it's popped up in the wrong window. Let me bring it over.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
oh, I didn't see that. That's cool.
It looks like a Tool album cover.
So you'll notice here
Kind of.
he's got the nib,
Yeah.
and then over here he's got the pencil, and then lotuses,
Yeah.
and then without the logo, and this is just like a full page pinup
Right.
without the logo.
That's
So
so
What's
good.
that? What's that referred to as when it doesn't have the logo on it? It's called something. Give me a second.
all I know is
Virgin.
pen.
I think it's called Virgin.
Okay,
Yeah.
I remember that.
If it doesn't have like the title on there, it's
Hmm.
called Virgin. Like the only reason I know that is because it says that on some of the stuff through like say Midtown Comics and whatnot. That's how they refer to it as.
So after I finished Trumps, I tried to push through all these commissions and random stuff before I get into this one, because I usually do not take. I may take a commission, but I do not. I don't normally, make them priority.
Putting the working in working artist.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
And I try to be realistic with people. I tell them, I'll take down all your information. And by the way, these people, as I was doing it, I was making them aware of what I was doing. I didn't just like finish it and say, "Here you go. Do you like it?"
Right.
When I did the rough, I showed it to them. When I did the pencils, I showed it to them. When I did the ink, showed it to them, and then the color and so on. That way, because
Yeah, I do the same.
I want to give somebody something that they want. I don't want to give somebody something that that they don't want. So this is
Yeah,
over
the
on
only
the
time I don't show them is like I'll get the rough approved, and then I'll get like the next like rough colors that I put
Yep.
on approved, and then after that, it's usually like, do you want to see it when I'm done, or do you want to be surprised? I always ask,
Yep.
and most of the time, people say they want to be surprised. So like, okay, I'm gonna take it from here. I'm gonna do the rest of it, and then I'll let you know when I'm mailing it out to you because you don't want to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the only time I don't talk to them about it. Is
I'm all for
after the fact.
surprises, but at the same time, I've had friends, like for instance, that particular D&D character. I do many characters for this person, and there's been a few times that they purchased artwork from other people, and they give them the idea of what they wanted, and then they wouldn't get it back until it was done, and then there was no changing anything. And I don't mind doing changes, especially in the early stages.
Right.
And
Well,
I
that's what I'm saying. I don't have a
hey,
problem
what kind of
showing
colors
them.
do you want me to go with on here? You
Yeah.
know, what kind of color palette do you want? And sometimes they're specific and sometimes not. So I think it's just good
Right.
policy to give people, if you're doing it for them, you should give them what they want. And the only way to do that
Right.
is,
I agree with that.
but if they want to be surprised too, hey, that's good. You
Yeah.
know, that's awesome.
Well, like I said, I show them on the roughs, then I show them the color roughs, and then as long as they're okay with that, then everything from that point is you know what I mean. I get it done and then send it to them.
Yep.
All right. We are hitting that 2-hour mark, so we're gonna run our banner at the bottom there. We have been a show on Tuesday. You can follow us on Instagram at the tags down below, and you can slide in our DMs to contact us about some potential I guess contract working there if we're still taking commissions. But with books on the horizon, those windows do come and go. I'm also on Twitter.
True.
You can message me about Destiny 2 memes and Halo stuff. Mostly, that's what I do there. And we will be back next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific time with another show talking about comics as an intersection of different cultures. We're going to be talking about how comics have popped up in movies, games, and even music and hip hop. Man, we're featuring a special guest in Curtis Fujita. So
yeah,
yes. If you don't know, Curtis Fujita is a fellow West Coastin with me and also a hip hop head. So expect plenty of references to MF Doom, the RZA, MC Frontalot, Adam Warrock, all that good stuff. We are going to be back on this channel. We won't be here. We have another crew here on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time for Wednesday Night Wham, and then 8 p.m. standard, not standard, 8 p.m. Eastern again on Sunday for Silver Sunday. We don't have any shows in standard time. What are you doing? Move out to the coast. So we're going to run our bumper here. It is new and improved and extended, and I cut it off too early last week. So we got some make goods to do on our sponsors there. So enjoy this bumper here, and we'll see you next week. Until that time,
make mine silver line.
Make mine silver line.
Don't forget.
Hey, I'm Alex Saviuk, and I just want to let you know, make mine silver line.